And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Thank you all for joining us here on Amazon Live today, as well as through our affiliates joining us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We welcome you all too as well. Really excited about today's guest. We had a great conversation with her on Amazon Live last year, but for a totally different project. Today is all about her and her children's book. See there, we're talking about Lakeasha Williams and her children's book, Shine On Brown Girl. It's already an Amazon bestseller. We're going to talk to her about the journey, what it's been like for her to have this book out in the world, but also to be able to share with all of you and what she hopes you as readers, as well as those who are able to help spread the word, take away from the book as well. Lakeasha, hello to you. Welcome back to the program.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
So you're returning two-time now Amazon bestseller. I want to talk about this experience for you, Lakeasha. What has it been like for you, especially with this book, with Shine On Brown Girl, to have it out now for the world to enjoy?
It's an amazing journey. I think about just the entire process, which actually began last year when I submitted my manuscript in January. And so to think about just everything that we went through in the year, to have it finally be published, and then within 24 hours hit that Amazon bestseller status is just amazing. I couldn't be more grateful, couldn't ask for much more. The fact that this message has resonated with so many people just really and truly warms my heart.
Yeah. So let's talk about the message, because for those who are just finding out about the book, Lakeasha, I got a chance to read it before it actually went live on Amazon. But what I thought was so interesting about Shine On Brown Girl is that this is a book that's written for children, but we adults really should read it too.
Yeah.
Because we do the same thing that gets happened to the main character. We do it to others, unfortunately. But also there's
Yeah.
an opportunity there. I want to talk about the opportunity because we'll get to the main part of the story. But what I love is your main character, even though she goes through a very traumatic experience, will be traumatic for anyone of any age. She has people in her corner, people who rally around her. Why was that important for you to show? Not just the challenges and injustice that can happen to people of all ages, but knowing that there are people willing to stand up and to fight for them.
It was definitely important for me to share that message because sometimes I feel as a people we gravitate towards, folks who are not there for us, or as you
Mhm.
shared, the injustices that we know take place. And those things are true, right? But at the same time, there's always someone, right? Or a group of people who are in our corner who do believe in us. And those are the people that we have to latch onto, those like-minded individuals who believe in us, who are champions for us, who are our number one cheerleaders. And that is the message that we have to grab onto in order for us to deal with the injustices and everything else that we know pose as a challenge within our society.
Yeah. So let's go back then, Lakeisha, for those who are just tuning in. I mean, welcome you guys who are joining us. See you guys over there on YouTube. Appreciate you all for being on there with us. Also, though, on Amazon Live, you all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents with Lakeasha Williams as our guest, celebrating her best-selling children's book, Shine On Brown Girl. Uh, did you always know? We talked about this a little bit last year, Lakeisha, but I want to kind of catch our audience up. Did you always know that you had something to share in some form, that you were going to express a part of yourself with the world?
Um, I do, and I shared this with you before.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
To this extent, honestly, no. But I do believe that the family that I was born into in my birth order, plays a role as well. Just being the oldest child, being the oldest grandchild, that put me in a very unique position of responsibility. And the family that I was born into, we always had conversations with each other every day of my life while growing up. And so those seeds of greatness was planted in me from a very early age. And I'm definitely grateful for having the parents that I had, because although I grew up in the poor sections of Brooklyn, New York, my parents still saw beyond that for their children. And so what they gave us was a sense of hope, and they gave us that vision, even though they weren't quite clear on what we would do. That was the beginning of you are different, you are special, you are great, you are unique. But the other thing that they also planted in me was just a sense of obligation and responsibility to others. So it's not, it's not enough just for me to quote unquote make it, right? But there's also a sense of obligation for me to help as many other people as I possibly can to make it.
Yeah. And that is, again, a big part of you. I should mention, I have not said it already, Lakeasha, but many people got to know you even before being a best-selling children's book author in your work in education. So you've been able to pour into others. How does that feel to know that you've been able to make an impact into the lives of others and do things with them that will stay with them probably for the rest of their lives?
I sincerely believe that our test here on earth is how we treat each other, right? Everybody believe whatever they believe, and that's fine, right? But my belief system is that God doesn't care if you go to a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple. The most important thing is how we treat each other here on earth. And so that is something, again, that has always been within me. So what am I able to do, right, in order to right the wrong, so to speak, in order to help other people? And again, growing up in East New York, Brownsville, and Bed-Stuy, growing up in the 90s, during the height of the crack epidemic, actually living next door to a crack house, right? I saw all of these injustices that took place. And as I got older and started doing more studies in school and just reading about the different things, even from the Reagan era of everything that happened with the whole Contra War, and just all of those things are connected to me. And even though there are things that's beyond my control, what I focus on is those things that are within my control. So being an educator for 24 years and having the ability to touch the lives of children in a positive and a unique way, again, that's what I feel is my calling here on earth to do, right? So it's not a job for me. It's really not a job for me. I want to give back to the world, which some of the things that I felt was given to me as a child. As a child, again, growing up in an area during a time where if I listened to the noise in society, then I would think that I'm nobody, right? I would think that I would never think, to be in a position that I'm in today. And so I know how powerful messages are. I know how powerful representation is. And I know how powerful it is for us, for individuals to do that ground level work to make sure that we are really and truly impacting the community and not just paying lip service. So if you don't know me, if I'm not in my school, I'm oftentimes in the community just doing different things to uplift, people in general, because again, that's my give back to the world.
Yeah. Denise, thank you so much for following us over there on the Amazon Live side. Denise says, congratulations, Keish. And I think that's the thing. And we appreciate you guys. I see you guys coming in also over there on LinkedIn, Twitter. I see you guys over there as well. Thank you so much for being on with us. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here primarily on Amazon Live, but we are also streaming on Facebook, on YouTube. We have Twitter and LinkedIn as well. Lakeasha Williams is our guest, and now Amazon best-selling author of the book you guys see there, Shine On Brown Girl. For those joining us on the Amazon, right there in the carousel, you guys can be able to get your own. The reviews are already coming in for it. I put my book up front for a second, Lakeasha, because I wanted to focus on something you and I had not talked about. We're going to talk about Layla and where the idea for her came from, but I want to talk about this beautiful cover. And shout out to the illustrator for sure. I love the fact that not only is there the admonition to shine on, but I love the idea that there are different things featured on the cover, whether you're talking about a microphone, the shoes. I mean, talk to us about that and what you wanted young people to know, Lakeasha, about what they can do. Because I think a lot of times, because of where they're from, right, people think they're limited to a certain thing. What did you want them to know just by looking at the cover?
That it is unlimited, right? Their potential is unlimited, whatever it is they want to do. Like my message for all children is that whatever makes you, whatever you feel passionate about, it is our responsibility as adults to tap into that and to harness that and help develop that, whatever it is that a child is naturally inclined to, whether it be something in the arts world, whether it be education, entrepreneurship, sports, it doesn't matter. But it is absolutely critical that we as adults expose our children to so many different ways of being. And however it is they decide to choose to show up in the world, is our responsibility to nurture that within them. So the message behind the cover and those different symbols is that whatever it is you decide, because if we're really and truly trying to help our children be all that they can be, try to help them to get to that self-actualization part of the hierarchy of needs, right? If we're trying to do that, then it starts with us recognizing who our children are for their unique set of gifts and talents that every child possess. We have issues and challenges that come apart if we, the adults, don't recognize that and don't nurture and develop that in our children. So, yes, it's definitely something that was important to me to share with our readers.
Love that. So let's talk about Layla. How did Layla come? And I know from our conversations that Shannon Brown Girl is just the first of a series, but how did Layla come to you?
Layla came to me, and I'm going to tell the story as if because there are people who are hearing it for the first time. So during the election of Biden and Harris, when Kamala Harris became vice president elect, everyone was so excited, including myself, because again, representation matters. So even though I have all of these college degrees, I have a professional career, I was just beyond excited for representation. And so I'm always doing different things with my children in the school. I came across a poem, Brown Girl, Brown Girl. I said, oh my God, this is something great to do with my children back at school. Went back to school, did the activity with my children, which is a poem. So we just read the poem, was talking about the poem. And I shared it, to my social media, as I always do. And that video went viral. And so what happened when that video went viral is there were about 70 million plus people who were not happy with the fact that I was affirming Black and brown children. People said that I should be fired. People were comparing me to Hitler. I even received death threats where I had to file a police report at the nearest precinct to my school because there was lots of people who were just unhappy by that activity. But then on a flip side, there was about people who were excited about the project that I did. And they wrote about us in a paper in India. An Italian news station reached out to me to interview me. And so what that said to me was, in that experience, was that I thought about how I felt. I thought about how my children felt when we did the activity and how happy and proud they were. And what it said to me is that Black and brown little girls, Black and brown women still feel invisible in this world. So the fact that we now saw some representation, we saw someone in the White House who looked like us. And that's absolutely key if we're trying to help our children, again, be all that they can be. They just need to know that it's possible. It's possible that they can do it. So I took that experience coupled with what I know children are still dealing with in the year of 2022, and just everything that went on, with the political unrest. It's just so much that we're still dealing with as a society. And I said, you know what? I need to do more. I need to do more. Like, what else can I do to help be a part of the solution? Because that's how I live my life, right? I think sometimes people get bogged down in just identifying problems. But no, we have to be problem solvers. And so I said, what else can I do to help, in this manner? And write books. I had already written, a book, Still I Thrive. And I said, you know what, let me write some children's books to help our children still continue to just see themselves in stories, right? But not only see themselves visually, but be able to read books that represent the very things that they're still dealing with in the year of 2022. 22. And so that's how Layla came about. And I must say that it is a bestseller with with the children already, because I've done several read alouds, and I'm definitely open to doing read aloud, you know, in other schools around the country and around the world. Just putting that plug out there. But when I do the read aloud with the children and I have the discussions with them, and all children, so not just Black and brown little girls, but all children, it's resonating with them because this is real, and they know these are things that they experience, right, on many different levels. And I think that if we are to, people oftentimes say they want things to change, they want things to get better, right? Well, guess what? We can't wait for our children to be 20 and 30 and think that things are going to change at that time. Right. We have to start when they're young. And so we begin to have these conversations with our children in schools and in homes, then we can have the next generation of change agents who's ready to make sure that equity really and truly exists in action and not just in words.
Love that. And I love the fact that you say it's already resonating with all types of children, Lakeasha, because really all types of children are represented in Shine On Brown Girl anyway, because maybe they don't look like Layla, but they may look like Mariah. So, you know, there's always a question, how can I be the Mariah to somebody, right? You know what I mean? And I think there is another point you and I have not talked about, and I wanted to get this in because, you know, unfortunately, my father was killed when I was 4. I was thankful, though, I had a stepfather who came into my life fairly early. He, you know, I called him my dad. I bring that up because, unfortunately, not everyone has what Layla had in having a mother and father at home. How can we, though, you know, if we see some young person who may be in that situation, Lakeasha, who don't have someone to pour into them at home the way that Layla did, how can we be of service to them and use the principles of Shine On Brown Girl to help them?
Again, going back to the whole village concept, right? When we think about the village concept, we have to, it is all of our responsibility to each other, right? In some African nations, I don't know exactly the African phrase, but when they greet each other with the meaning of, with the message of, how are the children? So here in this country and in many countries, when we greet each other, it's, hey, how are you doing, right? But in some African nations, that's their greeting. How are the children? So once again, if we want our society, if we want to have a better society, then we have to take care of all of our children. So it doesn't matter whether you actually gave birth to them or not. Any child that you come into contact with, it is your responsibility to make sure that that child is well. And so when I think about being an educator, and I actually began my career as a paraprofessional or a teacher's assistant. So going from being a para to everything in between to now a principal, my thinking has always been, these are also my children. They're my children, and that's how I refer to them. I tell parents, you know, I had a parent meeting on Friday, and they're like, yeah, you know, we want the best for our child. I said, I understand that. I said, but I also want you to understand that when your child goes to my school, they also become my children. It is my responsibility to make sure that I am a part of the village that it takes to raise children. And so my message, and extending that to the community, is that if we want stronger schools, it begins with making sure that we have stronger communities, because stronger communities yield stronger families and stronger schools. So again, it behooves all of us within the communities, within our communities, to make sure that we are putting the necessary resources in place for our children so they have safe havens in the school. They have safe havens within, you know, whatever recreational centers that may exist within the community, with after school programs, with Saturday school programs, with youth programs, right? These are the things that we know our children need, right? And so it behooves all of us within our within the community to make sure that we all adopt this village approach, because we know that sometimes families are going through, like, you know, you lost your father at a young age. There are also families that are going through transitional periods. Like I have a high SCH population of students in temporary housing, right? So families need support. in a variety of ways. But again, if we can all adopt that village concept within each and every one of our communities, then when we ask the question, how are the children will always be well. So our society needs to be judged on how well are children, not how many billionaires we can crank out. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I could definitely tell Principal Williams coming out there.
Yeah, I
no, I love it. I love the passion.
I'm like so serious about this, right? And again,
Yeah.
this is not about a job to me. It's not about a job. It's about a calling. And I really and truly believe that this is why I'm here, right? This is why I'm here on this earth. And yes, I get passionate about my
hey, look, we love the passion. We love the passion. And on Facebook, they're saying they like the passion. So, but that says a whole lot. And so, last thing I want to mention about Shine On Brown Girl, of course, as I mentioned, is for those joining us on the Amazon Live side, you guys can see the book underneath the carousel. You guys can click on it there, be able to order your copy now. Go ahead and be able to get it. That's the paperback, like the one that I have here. If you guys are joining us on one of the other broadcasts, there's a link that'll take you over to Amazon Live, so you guys can be able to get it for yourselves. The other thing that Layla has for herself is the fact that she's reminded of where she comes from. I thought that was a really interesting part of the motivation she received, not only having that reinforcement at home, Lakeasha, but also reminded of those who came before. Of course, we're at the time we're having this conversation, we're in a month that's recognized for Black History Month. But what do you want, again, us parents to realize about the importance of reminding young people, all young people, of the greatness within them?
Again, it goes back to representation, right? Because our history did not begin with slavery. That's a deficit mindset. Our history did not begin with slavery, and we were enslaved, right? But we've always been doctors and architects and greatness, right? We've always been that. So I'm very big on the messaging that we share with our children. And again, the mind is a powerful thing. So if we want children to know that it's possible, especially children who like you shared earlier, who may have some challenges, in their early years, right? As they're growing up, it is absolutely critical that we continue to convey the message of hope and the power of hope. Shout out Michelle Obama. I need to meet her one day because I need to tell her I love you dearly, but I'm the one who always spoke about the power of hope, right? Like I'm in the business of hope. Children need that, right? Because when we don't have hope as a society, then people they just don't care about different things. And then we see all of the social, issues that we see within our communities. So making sure that we are imparting that knowledge to our children, that once again, it is possible. Children need that. They need that representation. They need something that's real and not just thinking about people from the past, but the past, the present, and helping them understand their future role that they play as well, as they continue to grow up and display all of their greatness. But if we continue to make those connections for our children from a very early age, then I do believe we will be able to combat, some of the social injustices that we do see taking place within our society today.
With that, last thing I want to say, and I think it's pronounced Harain, says congrats to you as well, Lakeasha. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But on the Amazon Live side, last thing I want to ask you though about is something personal, Lakeasha, because as you are doing so much to help others and doing so much to be able to pour into others, have you taken out the time yet to be proud of yourself as we are marking the achievements of others this month? Have you taken out the time to appreciate and recognize yourself for what you've achieved?
I think so. And it's funny because I did a vision boarding. I had a session yesterday with my talk about like-minded iron sharpens iron. I have to shout out my OSG family, my off school grounds. They actually published a book. So we had a session yesterday, and that's part of why we did it, right? Just making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and making sure that we are pouring into ourselves. And so, yes, I'm going to work on making sure that I remind myself to just be here, be now, right? Just focus on the present. Because I know, I do tend to think about what's next. So there's definitely things that I can still work on within myself, because of course I'm happy and definitely happy that my first children's book, Amazon bestseller. And as a 2-time author, having both books be Amazon bestsellers, yes, is absolutely an accomplishment. And I do agree, that I should take a little time just to enjoy this moment.
Yeah. Denise says, ladies of OSG, Audacity to Dream Vision Board experience. And I think, it's so important. I have to remind myself, and my circle reminds me of doing that too. It's not easy to do, because you're right. We're always thinking about the next thing, but it is a lot of times and I think that's part of the appreciation for it too, and recognizing what we're able to do. So I was just curious, because I know you do move at 90 to nothing. Was hoping you did slow down some to be able to think about that. In the meantime, though, we want you all to hurry over to Amazon to get your copy of Shine On Brown Girl. You guys can see it there on Amazon. I have it highlighted there in the carousel there on Amazon Live. Again, if you're not joining us on Amazon, those tuning in on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as on Twitter, make sure you guys head over to the link you guys see there to be able to get your own copy on Amazon. Today's segment is being powered by BiteCool. You guys see my BiteCool laptop. It is great for streaming like this. So there on Amazon, you'll see they have it highlighted as well. If you guys are looking for a great laptop that will help you to be able to not freeze up, to be able to have some good streaming experiences, BiteCool is one of those. So when you're over there getting Lakeasha's book, make sure you guys also take a look at that BiteCool laptop. It is a great deal for them. Lakeasha, so excited for you. This was a lot of fun, as it always is. You and I have never met in person yet, but I'm looking forward to that. I'll be in New York later on this year. So how can our audience stay connected with you?
You can follow me on my Instagram at principal_shine on Lakeasha. And definitely, when you come to New York City, Cyrus, we'll definitely link up. And you can also invite me to any type of book related something. Also extend that invitation as well.
Love it.
Yes, definitely follow me on my Instagram for all things related to Principal Shine on Lakeasha.
All right, Lakeasha, another great conversation with you. Really appreciate the time, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.